Hello, this is What If Naruto? No, What If Luffy? This is a One Piece What If. Ooh. This is What If this is because I have how many of the past two videos that I made on Naruto One Piece What Ifs of What If Naruto had hockey and what if technically what if Naruto had hockey and Rokushiki, but this is what if Luffy joined the Marines. So pretty much what this means is well, let's see. Okay. I'm going to do one thing. This is going to be Sabo, Luffy, and Ace. So once they kill back so Luffy's not going to meet is not going to meet Luffy is not going to meet Shanks, but still going to get the Gumu Gumu no Mi from this. I'm gonna say Garp has had it, as it was a very, very precious thing. I'm gonna say it was a very, very precious thing. The world government wanted it to be top secret, so they gave it to Garp to keep it safe. So while he was transporting it to command, while he was transporting it to Navy HQ, but Luffy ate it, and Garp had to take the consequences for that. But obviously, since it's the Garp the Fist, nothing really happened. But Luffy, Ace, and Sabo actually are all three going to become Marines because whenever they fought Blue Jam, they realized how bad pirates are, and that's when they all went up to. That's when they all went up to. That's when they all went up to Garp and said, "Please let us become Marines." Garp just laughed and said, "Of course I will." Now, in this Sabo, Ace, and Luffy, they're still all going to become, they're still all going to become brothers. They're still going to do this ceremony. Garp said, as they were, I'm pretty sure Luffy was around the age of 6, and Sabo and Ace were 8, and he said, whenever Luffy is 10, so in 4 years, I'll come back to the Goa Kingdom. I'll come back to the Go Kingdom. And don't worry about you, Sabo. I'll make sure to tell your parents that you'll become a perfect Marine. Sabo at that point would just jump up and say, "Thank you, Grandpa Garp, thank you." Now, for the next 4 years, Naruto, Luffy, and Ace would train non-stop relentlessly. Like, he would train non-stop relentlessly in the art, like in the actual. He would train just nonstop, relentlessly. They would train nonstop, relentlessly in the forest, becoming like a perfect 3-man unit. Whenever Luffy became age 10, Garp came back and said, "Now then, Sabo, Ace, Luffy, you're coming back. You guys are coming with me to Marine HQ." Naruto, Luffy, Ace, and Sabo hopped on a marine ship, told everyone goodbye, and headed off to Marineford. Now, during the time that they were going from the Go Kingdom to Marine HQ, it would have taken a couple weeks, as they're in the East Blue, and they have to get to the they have to like it would have taken a couple of weeks, as they would have to, obviously, since they have a marine ship, they can go through the calm belt, but it would still take a couple weeks. During this time, Garp would ask, "So, I know you guys wanted to become pirates before you chose to become Marines, and because of the whole Blue Jam, and because of you guys killing Blue Jam, you guys started hating pirates. Is that correct?" Ace says, "Of course that's correct." And then Sabo says, "Yeah, screw those damn pirates." And then Luffy says, "Yeah, screw pirates. They can go die for all I care. Especially that pirate. Especially the pirate that started the Great Pirate Era, Goldie Roger. If I could have, if I could, I would have killed him. Garp then laughs and says, "Well, you wouldn't have. He was really, really, really strong. Take it from me. I fought him on many occasions, and even fought with him." They look at Garp and say, they look at Garp, and Ace says, "You fought with a pirate? Why?" Garp says, "Pirates are a stain on the world, but sometimes working with pirates is the only way to save the world." He wouldn't have told them the entire story of. He wouldn't have told them the story of rocks at that point. So yeah, over the time, Garp would be explaining how Rokushiki works. He would like be explaining a little bit about hockey and Rokushiki, but he would pretty much be saying, once we get to Marine HQ, you guys will be training with Ken. You guys will be training kendo, martial art. He said he's going to say, I'll give you guys the option to train martial arts and or kendo. Ace and Luffy. Ace says that he wants to learn special weapons, such as kanabos and axes. Garp says, of course, I could relay you to some of our captains." And then Sabo says, I want to learn kendo." Garp then says, of course, I'll relay you to some of our sword using captains." And then then Luffy says, I I want to use my bare hands." Garp then nods and says, okay, I'll I'll give you to one of our captains as well." Whenever they get to Marine HQ, uh, Garp says, "Psych! I'm training you all." And then they'll still be like Ace will still be training with axes and kanabos, and like Sabo with swords and Luffy, but they'll all be training under Garp. So by the time that Luffy's age 15, so 2 years before pre time skip, he hears something about this guy named Roanoa Zorro, the pirate hunter. At this point, Zorro would be like, I think he's, I just looked up. So they were about 17, that he was about 17 pre-time skip. So he would hear about this, and Luffy, Luffy asked Garp if he could set out to try to look for this guy. Garp says, sure. So Luffy set out to look for Luffy. Luffy set out to look for Zorro. It took him about half a year, but he did find Zorro. He asked Zorro to join the Navy, but first Zorro said no. But he then said, if I could beat you, in a duel, would you join? Zorro like said yeah. They fought. It was a hard fought battle between Zorro and Luffy. Zorro used his three sword style, and Luffy just used his Gomu Gomu no Mi. One of the highlights is Luffy using his Gomu Gomu no Justice. It's a Gomu Gomu no Justice is him wrapping his arms around someone's. He wraps his rubber arm around someone's hands, and throws them into the air and then slams them down. That's what Gomu Gomu no Justice is. Luffy beats him, and Zoro joins the Marines. Zoro joins the Marines, and then we time skip another 1.5 years to the point of the main story starting. Luffy, Ace, and Sabo actually climbed faster. Nar- Lu- Ace and Luffy, Ace and Sabo are already to the rank of Rear Admiral. But Luffy just started his ascension through the officers' ranks. He just became an ensign. As he hasn't been going on, he's been training most of the time. He hasn't really been going on any. Well, he hasn't been going on any. How do I say missions? He hasn't been going on any missions. And same with Zorro. Now Luffy has So the first big mission Luffy got was there was a the first big so at the beginning of the series when Luffy's 17, Luffy gets the order of gets a mission where he has to go to the part of the Grand Line. He has to go to a 10 island stretch in the Grand Line and clear out pirates. Now, over the time of him training from age 10 to age 17, Luffy has been training has been training in hockey and rokushiki. He's got a grip on Conqueror's hockey, observation and armament hockey, and also on rokushiki. He's been able to use Geppo, Tekai, and Rankyaku to relatively good points. With Zorro, his hockey has been doing good as well, and he chose Soru, Rankyaku, and Geppo. He chose Geppo and Rankyaku and Shigon as his Rokushiki techniques. Now the 10 island stretch of the Grand Line, This is going to be the first arc in this One Piece. This is going to be the first arc in this One Piece. What if? So Zoro and Luffy, accompanied by a couple underlings and two other chief petty officers. The two other chief petty officers are Kobe. So in this, Kobe had in this Kobe didn't get kidnapped by Alvida. He did join up with the Marines, and he did get trained under a powerful Marine. He did get high in the rankings. And the other one is Jasu. Jasui. Josui is a Josui can use hockey. It's just he can't use armament yet. He can use observation. With Kobe, he has really good observation. It's just he can't use armament hockey. He just can't use armament that much. He can use Rokushiki though. So they get to the point. They get to the stretch, the first island, Konkao Island. Konkao Island is a relatively big island. It looks like it's set. It looks like it's if you can imagine like it looks like a medieval London. It looks like medieval. It looks like the 1700s London. It looks like 1700s London. Like that's like the best way that I can describe it. 1700s London. Luffy and his crew dock on the island, and Luffy and the rest of the Marines dock on the island. Luffy takes his squad of Josui, Kobe, Kobe, Zorro, and himself away, and then has the rest of them just scour the island. Luffy and his squad see a couple of low-ranking pirates. They dispatch them relatively quickly. It's until they see. It's until they see four relatively powerful looking pirates. One pirate steps up and says, "Hi, I'm Captain Cow. I'm Captain Cacao. Who are you, Navy scum?" Luffy says, "Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to, pirate scum? I am I am Monkey D. Luffy. I am Monkey D. Luffy, future fleet admiral of the Marines. Indeed, I'm taking you down." Now, this 10 island stretch of the Grand Line has been getting ravaged by pirates for the past 4 years, and it's actually been really really hard for any Marines to actually get there. So this so and there's no other Marines getting sent to these islands. So if Luffy and his squad manage to do this, they'll get a really good boost in their Marine rankings. This so Luffy jumps forward and just apologizes and just punches he jumps forward and punches the captain in his face and jumps upward. The four of them get separated. The four of them get separated. So we first are going to do with Luffy versus Captain Cacao. Captain Cacao can use armament hockey and observation hockey to a relatively good extent. And even if Luffy did try to use his Conqueror's hockey, he really wouldn't be able to use it that good. He wouldn't be able to use it that much. Like he can use it really well. It's just even if he did use it, he had the Captain Cacao has really powerful willpower, so he wouldn't be able to get He wouldn't be able to get knocked out. So Luffy jumps forward and does Gumu Gumu no pistol, Gumu Gumu no pistol. So he does a Gum pistol, but Cacao dodges. Cacao dodges and waits, and once Luffy is in range, he jumps up and kicks Luffy. Kicks Luffy with an arm and hockeyed foot. Luffy gets drove into the ground. He gets up and jumps forward. He then does Gumu Gumu lead Gatling. This is his Gumu Gumu Gatling, but with armament hockey, obviously. And he does get a few few really good shots in, but a lot of the hits are being parried by Cacao. Cacao and Luffy start going blow for blow, really really powerfully. Then Luffy does a attack that he made up with his Gumu Gumu no Mi, with his Gumu Gumu no Mi powers and his Gumu Gumu no Mi powers Saki and his Rokushiki. Pretty much what it is, it's Gumu Gumu no iron bouncy ball. He armament hockeys up his entire body, well his arms, and he uses it to he inflates himself into a ball shape. And then he covers himself with his arms and uses armament hockey and also Tekai. He then blasts himself forward and hits Captain Cacao, and pile drives him into a side of a cliff. He backs up. Cacao is he's relatively damaged. But he can still fight at really good capacity. Cacao jumps forward, and Luffy's observation hockey can't really catch up with him, and Cacao just unloads on Luffy, kick after kick, punch after punch, and Luffy's getting banged up pretty hard. Now we go over to Zorro. Zorro is currently in currently in a sword lock with a man. The man says, "You're good, pirate hunter." Zorro then laughs and says, I'm not as good as the other Marine. I'm not as good as the other Marines, though. Zoro then guard breaks, trying to push the guy back. The guy gets pushed back, and Zoro says, "You said your name was Coke was Coco?" The guy says, "No, you imbecile! No, you imbecile! My name is Strawberry." The Zoro tries to stop himself from laughing. He says, "Okay, okay." Zoro then uses his hockey. Zoro then uses his hockey and his Geppo. He does a special three sword style attack. Three sword style. It's three sword style flying. It's three sword style. 360 pound. It's three sword style. 720 caliber flying phoenix. So, for the Marines, he kept his Wado Ichimonji, but the Marines offered to get him some relatively good swords. So he has two. He has two Meito grade. He has two high Meito grade swords. So with his Geppo, he does a 720 pound Phoenix, 720 pound flying Phoenix. The Strawberry blocks it and says, "You're powerful." He then jumps up and goes and starts going in the air with Zorro and anything. Zorro does another Geppo, and then he says, "Five sword style." He's using Ron Kyaku for this. He says, "Five sword style, rampaging cuts." He does five slashes, and the slashes hit, like the slash almost two of the slashes are blocked, but the other three hit the guy, and the guy gets slashed up a lot. The guy gets back up and blitzes at Zoro. He starts going even faster than he did. Zoro's keeping up, but he's getting overwhelmed. He then uses he then slashes at he then sort of he then does a sort of hold with one of his swords, lets it go for a second, and then he does a Shigan. He then does a Shigan at the guy's at the guy's blocking sword, and then gets his sword back, and then goes in for a slash. The guy barely blocks it with his arm and hockeyed sword. Zorro then comes in with his other sword. He then comes in with his other sword and cuts into the guy's side. The guy jumps back and holds his side as blood's gushing out. Now we go over to Kobe. Kobe has good hand-to-hand combat. Even without hockey. So Kobe's currently in a hand-to-hand combat fight. He's using Soru and Geppo. He's using Soru and Geppo to get around, and he actually made this really cool technique. He's incorporating Soru and Geppo. So he uses Soru, and then he uses Geppo to get up into the air, and then he Soru's down and comes in with a giant kick. He comes in with a giant kick to the face of the guy. The guy that he's facing can take this, and then Kobe says, "What? I'm sorry. What's your name again?" Says, "Nah, don't worry." Says, "Name's Apple. What's yours?" Says, "Oh, my name is Kobe. I'm an aspiring Navy." I'm an aspiring Marine. The guy gets up and spits and says, Marines are nothing but trash. Kobe gets mad at this, and then he uses the same thing again, except he geppos towards the guy to get more momentum, and then he sorus, and then he pummels the guy, and then he gets four quick shots on the guy, two fist blows and two kicks in. And then he kicks. And then he plants both of his feet on the guy's chest and pushes backwards and flips out. Uh, yeah, yeah. Uh, the guy is getting Apple's getting very very pissed off. So he uses his devil fruit ability. His devil fruit ability is the psych fruit. The psych fruit is the ability to control one object that is shorter than you and weighs less than you. This wouldn't work on on Kobe because Apple he weighs around 150 and is about 150 pounds and is about 5'7", and Kobe is about 5'5" too. Is about 5'5", 170. The guy picks up a relatively large boulder and throws it with his good observation hockey. With Kobe with his good observation hockey dodges out the way using Zorro. And then the guy then waits for the guy uses his observation hockey as well to notice where he's going to come. He notices the Soru. He notices that Kobe's going to come out of the Soru, uh, about 50 feet in front of him, about 50 feet to the left of him. So he throws a rock over there, and just before, and right after he comes out of his sword, right after the sword, he comes out of his Soru, a relatively big rock just slams him in the face, and he gets knocked backwards. He holds his face and says, "Damn, damn. Wow, you're very observant." Now, Soru and Geppo are the two that Kobe has been training the most. By the way, if anyone comments that this is not accurate, this is a alternate timeline. Luffy is a fucking Marine in this one. Just let me have my fun. Now, Kobe has been practicing other Rokushiki techniques, such as Rankyaku, Tekai, and Shigan, Shigan. So he uses he's good at them, but he's not great. Like he can use them, but not to a relatively great point. So for Tekai, yes, he can make his body hard. He can make his body to steel, but he's not really he's mobile definitely, but he's like relatively slowed. With Rankyaku, he can shoot at the blast, but they don't really go far. And with Shigan, he can definitely use it, but it wouldn't if he used Shigan in someone's chest, it wouldn't kill them. It would do damage. It would do a lot of damage though. So he thinks of a really good idea. He uses the Geppo Soru technique, but then he uses the Soru technique. He Geppos up Sorus, but he uses Tekai. He uses Tekai and Rankyaku, he kicks the guy in the face and then uses a Rankyaku. The Rankyaku dead center hits the guy in his face, and the guy goes flying backwards into a wall. The guy gets up and says, he's really wobbly. Like he's relatively banged up, because even before we came to this, like Kobe was getting a lot of hits in with his Geppo Sordu Sordu. But Kobe being relentless, before like he could even get his bearings, he uses the same Geppo Soru technique and blitz and side swipes the guy in his face with another kick. The guy at this point is pretty done. So we're gonna go over to Josui. Josui Josui is getting Josui's on an even level with the guy that he's facing currently. The guy that we're currently facing, the guy that he's currently facing, is going blow for blow with him, and then Josui with his, is relatively smart, so he sees an opening, so he kicks the guy. By the way, Josui doesn't know any. He knows that the Rokushiki techniques work, that they exist, but he doesn't really know how to use any of them. He can use Geppo, but like a really weak version. So yeah. So he sees an opening and he kicks. He uses a a relatively powerful kick, and kicks the guy back. The guy then says, "Yeah, so you want to use kicks now? Is that right? Well, we can use kicks if you want." The guy then jumps for the Josui and the guy jump forward, and they start using they start kicking each other. They start kicking each other. They start like doing the thing where they like collide their kicks at their shin level, and like they're kicking very powerfully. Like their kicks are very powerful. And Josui says, what's your name?" Says, "Nah, my name, my name, my name is Graham." I was gonna say Cracker, but I can't really say that because Cracker already exists. His name's Graham. Uh, Graham, ju- Graham then jumps up and does a spinning kick, trying to hit Josui on the head. Josui gets out of the way because he still can use observation hockey, but not to a high extent. He can use it to a relatively good extent though. So Josui dodges and hits the guy in his face and blows him backwards. Now they go back to trading blows, but the guy gets a opening and pounds Josui in the chest. Josui just sort of drops for a second, and the pirate uses this as a good opportunity. Josui then starts getting pounded over and over again by this guy. Kick after kick to the face, punch after punch is just getting mopped. And then for a final attack, he gets kneed back. He gets kneed in the mouth and gets thrown backwards. Now we go back over to Luffy versus Cacao. Captain Cacao and Luffy are still going hand in hand. Are still going hit for hit. Cacao doesn't have a devil fruit, but he has a relatively good. Has a relatively good grip on hockey. Luffy, Luffy, so yeah, Luffy is still fighting, and then he does a combination of his Gumu Gumu no Mi and Rankyaku. He jumps he geppos up. He geppos up, and then he armament hockeys up his foot, and then he does gumu lead stamp, and he hits him in the chest, and then it goes backwards, and he says Rankyaku. A Rankyaku gets sent out of his foot, just blit, and like almost it creates a ginormous slice in the guy's chest. The guy gets just blitzed backwards, and he gets pummeled into a boulder, and the boulder breaks. Luffy jumps over and and then he does another one of those lead stamped Rankyakus, Kyaku. He's dead. At this point, Cacao is dead. He puts a sea prism stone cuff. He calls over a guard with a Din and Mushi to put sea prism stone cuffs on the guy, and that's Luffy versus Cacao done. Now we're back to Strawberry versus Zorro. Now Strawberry took that good hit to it. Took that hit to his ribs, so he's currently fighting with a very very cut rib. Now, Zorro geppos 3 times, and then he geppos downwards, and does flying onigiri. Does flying onigiri. He splits down and slices. He flies down and slices slices almost like a demon face into this guy's chest. He slices down 2 horns from the shoulders, then 2 eyes, then a giant slit across his stomach. The guy is still standing, and he's still fighting. Like Zorro is relatively confused, so he goes in and he armored hockeys up his foot. He does a geppo, and then he says, "Geppo, lead run kya." Says, "One sword style, geppo lead run kya." Geppo armored hockey, geppo armament run kyaku. And then he does this right in the actual slit of the stomach, and that almost like cuts the guy completely in half. The guy gets launched forward, and he doesn't, like, Zora knows that there's pretty much no time to get a Marine over here to heal him up, so he just walks away. He walks away as the guy is about to bleed out to death. Now we're back to Kobe versus Apple. Now, Apple has gotten a couple good hits on Kobe, but Kobe's still using that Geppo Soru technique, and he's actually evolved it. He's now he's been practicing Shigan Run Kyaku and Tekai, as I said. So he's now using Geppo Soru, and sometimes using a Rankyaku or a Shigan or a Tekai to sort of train his other skills. Now he roundhouses. He does a Geppo Soru and then roundhouses. And then roundhouses him in the face with his heel. Apple catches this and throws Kobe into the side of a building. Then jumps up and starts just pounding away at Kobe's face. Kobe waits for the perfect moment, and then he uses Tech Eye. The the pirate hits, and he feels his hand break. Uh, Kobe jumps up, and Kobe jumps up and uses his Tech Eye body to hit Apple in the face. Apple at this point is almost knocked out, so he does one quick. Yeah, at this point he's almost knocked out. So Kobe just kicks him in the face once and says, "Well, that's it." He then brings out a Dendenmushi, and then gets ready, and then gets a guy. He gets a Marine to take away the guy. So now we're back. Now we're back. Now we're back to Graham and Josue. Josue is currently getting relatively pounded on, and he's trying to get out, but Graham's not really giving any openings. But then Josue feels something. He feels something coming on. He then feels, and then he says, "Kamiye." He uses a Rokushiki technique. He uses the Rokushiki technique, Kamiye. So he starts getting he starts weaving through the punches, and then he gets up, and then he lets out all of he then goes just ham in ham, paying back every single bit of damage that that Graham did to him. Graham blocks one of his attacks, but Graham does block one of the kicks that Josue threw at him. But Josue's pure power from it sort of broke his arm, and then he did another kick that just he did another kick. He just started just hammering away at his face until he was on the brink of just passing out. He then called another Marine, and yeah, he called another Marine. He called a Marine to get him away. Sorry. So yeah, that's the this part done. That's what if Luffy became a Marine part 1.